I have a lot of India videos to upload, but over my vacation time, it seems like the how to stop thinking everyone hates me, that video has trended again, and so I got a lot of follow-up questions related to that video. More specifically, the follow-up questions are, so how do I actually lower the bar? How do I actually feel safe? How do I actually, feel more secure? So let's really deep dive into that specific topic. How do you feel secure when you haven't learned? So, in the video, I argue that the reason why you feel like everyone hates me is because you're so used to feeling that way, and moreover, you don't really know what it's like when people aren't upset at you. So, let me actually paint a more specific picture of how this might be. Suppose you have a parent or an authority figure who has a lot of control over your life, and your happiness is kind of dependent on that person's mood. So, for example, you may have a father who drinks. When the father isn't drunk, everything is hunky dory. It's not that bad. But then once the father starts drinking, the tone of the house completely shifts. And then now, if he decides to have a bad day, then you're just gonna have a bad day. It doesn't matter how you feel. Now, this further gets compounded if you sort of have a influence in what the other person does. So, for example, you may be the youngest child, or you may be a talented child, or you may have some kind of personality traits that help diffuse the situation. So, listen to this. This other person is mad and they have a lot of power over your life. So, for example, it might be a drunk dad, or it might be an angry mom, or whatever, emotionally unavailable parent, or a teacher, a homeroom teacher who has, like, emotional problems, or whatever. This person is doing stuff, and then they're gonna make you suffer the consequences. And then, depending on what you do, you fawn, and you perform well, and then you do nice things, then you diffuse the situation. And then because of that, when this pattern keeps repeating, right? A bad day happens, but you relieve it. Bad thing happens, you relieve it. Then what starts to happen is, when things aren't bad, you start predicting when the next bad instance is going to be. So, your normal life, when things aren't bad, it becomes a prep stage for when things go bad. But this usually happens in childhood, right? And so in childhood, you live with the parents. Or when you're growing up and you're going to school, you go to school practically every day, right? So because of that, the cadence in which these things happen is so frequent. Therefore, you get used to short bursts of time when things are good. Things are the best when you just diffuse the situation, because it's likely that some time is going to pass before the next upset episode, right? So, because of this, the longer the peaceful days go by, the more anxious you feel. Because why? It's about time. It's about time something is wrong. And then something goes wrong, and then you feel this kind of a fucked up kind of a relief, like, oh, okay, here I go. And you're back to your routine, right? So, if you don't have that kind of a fawning personality, then what can happen is you rebel. And your parents, your teachers, they say stuff to your older sibling, and then they try to fuck up your day, and then you just don't take it, and you fight back. And then they might punch you and they might punish you, but then you just take it. You just don't care. Some people react to these situations in that way. But if you're watching this video, and if you're watching the other video, then chances are you developed a fawning personality because it worked well for you in terms of a survival strategy. So because of this, you grow up. And then guess what? Starting from college, and then college is like dorm and apartment life, and it still has the chance of like the people you hang out with every day. Your clique or whatever. The cadence might go up and down. But see, young adulthood, you just graduated college, and then you're with your coworkers, and you're with your landlord, you're with your roommates, or like your neighbors. Now, the thing is, no one's really there to care that much about you and exert that much of an influence over you. So this feels like a massive void, and it makes you feel very anxious. And because of that, you go out and seek dominating type of people. Because why? It's bad. It makes you feel super bad, but at the same time, it's what you are familiar with. This is how people get into abusive relationships in the first place. They are growing up in that pattern. It's the pattern that they're most used to, and they feel comforting. So when the situation happens and they get into a relationship where there's no drama, then they get bored of that relationship because nothing stimulates them. So they create drama, and then it usually ends up becoming the reason why people separate, right? That's for romance. But then, at work, like, your boss is, again, you're likely not going to feel this with your equals, like your peers, but you're gonna likely feel this with the, parent. I mean, like, your boss. Or someone who has a lot of emotional leverage over you, right? So people you respect, people you look up to, people who you want to make a good impression on. They're basically, in your mind, they're trying to mirror your parents or the other authority figure that you are used to kind of like fawning. This is the vicious cycle of people pleasing. And so, that's why I said, in order to really break this, you have to really think about, what is it gonna take for me to feel safe? How do I feel safe? Because I don't know. Right? Chances are, you really, really don't know what it's like when people aren't upset at you. Because all you're used to feeling is anxiety. So what do? You make things fall into the pattern that you are used to. So, okay, the pattern that you know and you are familiar with is this. People are actually upset at you, and then you fawn over them, and then you dissipate the situation. That's a lot of relief, right? But how do you get that relief without someone actually being mad at you? How can someone convince you that they are really okay with you, that they love you, that they accept you, that they are not angry or they don't hate you at all? What is it going to take? Because chances are, if you don't think about this, when people say that they're okay with you, they're not angry, you're gonna think that they're lying. And that's the, that's the vicious cycle. If you aren't aware of this pattern, you're gonna think that they're just saying that to mask the situation. Why? Because you've seen that pattern 1,000 times. You've seen that pattern where people are like, narcissistic people often are like, I'm okay, no, I'm fine. And they get all passive aggressive, right? That's the pattern you're used to seeing. So, if you don't consciously think about, wait, how do I actually trust this other person when they say they're okay? Then you are constantly going to make believe situations that you are more comfortable with. So, what kind of evidence will it take for you to feel safe? For you to understand that this person's not mad at you? The thing is, if there is such an evidence, right? Then good. Suppose if they really look into your eyes and they say, I am not upset at you. Then if you can take that as evidence that they're not upset at you, good. You have something to work with. And that's what I mean by, then lower the bar. What if you could feel safe if they don't actually verbally express that they are upset at you? You try that on for size and see how life progresses with that hypothesis. And then, if you feel like, oh man, that I don't like that feeling, okay, then you can go back up. You can ask people, hey, I have this personality trait where I kind of over worry, right? So I feel like I upset you, but can you really just look me in the eyes and let me know if I'm really like troubling you or upsetting you? And then if they say no, there's nothing you're doing wrong, then okay, good. I'm gonna leave it be. You could. That's fine. That's a completely fine way to live. But every once in a while, you experiment with lowering the bar. What if people generally, if they don't verbally disapprove, what if that's fine? If that's too lower, then you can go like, what if people, if they're smiling, if that's, what if I take that as a sign that things are okay? And then you try on different levels of security. And then, if you take it to the extreme, what if it's fine that other people are upset? Because you're a grown person. And other people don't need to have that much influence over you. When you're a kid, if your parents are upset at you, you get kicked out of the house, but that doesn't apply anymore, right? So what if it's okay when other people are upset at you? What if it's a natural part of life that other people are going to disapprove of you every once in a while? There are a lot of people who disapprove of me, but I'm fine because that's their choice, right? And the more they hate me, the more they're gonna suffer. It has nothing to do with me. But I'm not asking you to jump directly to this level. But I'm saying, if you can identify, that's how I feel safe, then you can try experimenting with that new baseline. But I am willing to bet many of you are actually not sure what it would take. How do I feel safe? I have no idea. This should first serve you in that this helps you recognize this is an irrational belief. Yes, there will be people who hate you, but not everybody will hate you. Even if you are the most despicable person, there will be people who find that kind of charming. Just look at any, video in your For You page. I don't even use TikTok, but like if you go to your FYP, then you would know that there are some videos that you like, and you look at the comments and there's gonna be at least one person talking shit about it. You'll find the video that you really don't like, and then there's gonna be at least one person who's like, hell yeah. So, to think that everyone hates you and you have no way to know that you are secure, that people aren't upset at you, this should let you know that, it is an irrational belief. Then, you can, again, like the other example, you can try different bars of safety. And you know what? It's okay to be candid, and I think it's actually better to be candid about your personality quirks. Other people have personality quirks, right? And so, it's totally fine to be like, hey, I'm kind of an anxious person, and we've been kind of getting close, and we've been talking a lot, and I feel my anxiety kind of creeping up, and I'm just wondering if it's okay. And then you just talk about your personality, and when the other person, they understand this side of you, then they're likely to see things from your perspective in the future if you feel like anxious, if you start showing signs of fawning and things like that, right? But then again, not everybody is going to be as emotionally mature as the picture that I'm painting, but that's fine. You don't have to be friends with everybody, and it's okay, because friendship is a two-way street. It's okay if other people don't consider me their friend. It's okay if other people don't like me. It doesn't matter to me because I like them. And I like them, and because of that, I respect their opinions. So if they don't want me close to them, then I like them, but I can respect that because I like them. right? So what I'm saying is, regardless of what happens, there's a way to deal with people not liking you. And it's not a matter of life and death anymore. And the more you keep that in mind, the more you can be okay with the notion of people hating you.